Welcome to the Thrive Today podcast. I'm Natalie Born, the media host for Thrive Today and the founder of Innovation Meets Leadership. We are a platform for women who lead and believe, and our founder is back with us, Colleen Rouse, and we are talking today about leading without losing yourself. Welcome, welcome.
And without losing your mind.
There you go. Both are important.
Yes.
We need both. Well, when we think about women who lead in male-dominated environments, sometimes they may walk out of a room or a meeting and just feel a certain way about maybe some of the interactions they've had. They may be feeling even unheard or misunderstood. So I think it would be important for us to dive into that today and talk about, one, why is that so common? Why do we feel that way? And then maybe what's the remedy for this?
Absolutely. And I want to just add this before we jump into our discussion, because there is this belief that's very prevalent in our society today that is anti-male. And we don't come from that vantage point.
Not at all.
I believe God has called us to work together, to collaborate together, male and female, and that it is possible for us to stand out in our society as women who know how to collaborate, as women who respect and honor men. And so that's where I'm coming from. But at the same time, I'm not afraid to broach these areas where there is a little gray or a little misunderstanding, and hopefully to bring some light.
Or maybe just even a little difference, right? There's
Yeah.
sometimes some differences that if we don't articulate, then we do feel unheard or lost.
And yeah, I mean, here's at the end of the day, or shall I say the beginning of the day, the way that we show up is often based on what we believe and how we feel.
Yes.
That's who's coming to work, okay? And we can feel unseen sometimes, and then that impacts our confidence level, and that affects our ability to communicate well. And, people experience our overflow.
Yes.
That's what they're experiencing. That's the engagement that they're having. And so this is why I think sometimes women can feel unseen and misunderstood.
Yeah.
But I don't know do we always understand how other people are experiencing us?
That's really interesting. It really forces you to step back and think about the environments around us and even how we show up in those environments. How are people responding to us in those environments? I just went to a really nice get together, and one of the people there was acting a little strange when I walked in. And I've interacted with this person many times, but he was acting a little odd. And I thought, well, let me just give him a little cooling off period. I'll come back around and see if he's in a different place. And by the end of the evening, I kind of stepped aside. I took a moment to pray because I was like, this is a little outside of his character. And by the end of the night, he shared some personal things that were going on with him health-wise that none of us were aware of. And so sometimes, we get so wrapped up in ourselves too, that we don't take time to pause, to pray, to read the room, read the moment. How am I showing up? Am I showing up too needy in this moment? Like, why aren't people, responding to me a certain way? And really, when we put ourselves in that position to be more empathetic and understand what's going on around us, we can learn a lot. And so I love this conversation.
And I think it's so important for us to understand that the tension around our communication is with one another, male and female, is often because we process differently.
That's right.
I like to say that, this is just speaking generally. Women, we are the Macs and men are the PCs, okay?
My husband will be very happy to hear you say that because he loves his PC.
But it makes sense because men think linearly, we think in layers,
Yes.
I mean, women often have, how many applications do we have running in the background? We have things open and tabs open that they don't even know exist.
We've got 40 windows open, music's playing, we can't figure out what tab it's on.
Meanwhile, men, they actually close their tabs. And so this is why, we say they compartmentalize. So this helps with their ability to focus. But if you think about what we're able to observe in the differences when we talk about the way we operate, women, we notice atmospheres, we notice tension, we notice relationship. You picked up on this gentleman and his state. We read emotional cues. Sometimes we totally misread them.
Yes.
But we read and hear what's not said.
That's right.
And so that's kind of us. Now, men, they're going to notice objectives and
Mhm.
outcomes, which why we think they're so bottom line. Yeah, because that's their gift. They are thinking solutions. This is why they want to fix us. When you
Yes.
go home, ladies, and your husband wants to fix you because he's gifted with solutions. His brain is going to go that way. They think efficiency. We're
Yes.
thinking about relationships. They're thinking about timing,
Mhm.
and structure.
Yeah.
And so can you see why this could be either chaos or collaboration? It could,
Yeah.
because not one operating system is better than the other. It's
Mhm.
obviously ours is going to be more familiar to
Yeah.
us, and we process information differently.
Yes.
And we have to keep reminding ourselves of that.
Yes, that's really good. And I even think about the way you and your husband operate. And I don't know if I've heard this said or where I got this example from, but oftentimes when we think about you guys, like he's like the acquisition of the building, but then you bring all the
The
vibrancy,
accoutrements.
yes, in the building and kind of the feeling of the building. And why does it feel so welcoming and so warm? And so that's a beautiful thing to know that the giftings don't have to be the exact same. And I'll even say it, even stronger. We don't have to be like a man in order to function well and to be thought of well. Like we need to understand the giftings and the talents we bring to the table so that we can operate in those fully, not try to be like our counterpart.
Yes. And I think some of the frustration arises in this processing where women are thinking, Why doesn't he care? Why is he not missing this?" And men are thinking, "Why are you making such a big deal out of something so little?" So if we don't have the right kind of understanding of we'll read something entirely different. It'll look weak, it'll
Yes.
look uncaring, because we're making judgment calls on people unfairly.
Wow.
And that's hindering our ability to really move forward in progress because we do that. And I think we have to be careful who gets to contextualize what we're observing
Yeah.
about people.
Well, let's take this squarely into the workplace and talk about how this truly creates relational tension. Because I do think some of the things, the nuances we're talking about, if male female in the work environment don't understand these things, it actually creates some tension at times.
It does. And I think that here's what we make assumptions. We have
Mm,
biases. We tend to assume that the thing that we most naturally and easily notice, that's the most important thing,
mm,
just because it comes very naturally to us.
mhm.
And so that's elevated in our idea of the sense of importance.
That's really interesting. I've actually never thought about it that way. That it's
Yeah.
like, we're bringing our vantage point so strongly to the table and then we make it the issue. There could be five different issues there, but we're kind of making it the main thing.
So I think everything has to be appropriate.
Mhm.
I appropriate what I see, what I think, but then I don't make it disproportionate in value
Mm,
to what somebody else thinks. And this is where even asking, tell me why you think that way. Tell me,
mm.
because I want to grow in this. It doesn't mean that I am only going to be capable of this.
Yes.
I want to learn the way he thinks. And this will help in your relationship at home too.
Yeah.
And so that it's some of that tension, we have to have emotional
Mhm.
awareness. I know there's this statement about, how important it is to be aware,
Yes.
self-aware.
Yep.
But there's another level, and that's to be others aware.
Yes. Yeah.
So where I'm not just aware of the impact I'm having
Mhm.
on you,
Yes.
I am aware of the impact you could be having on me
Yes.
and also contextualizing it properly. Okay. So it helps when we're trying to move into solving a task.
Mhm.
Okay. It helps to eliminate some assumptions
Mhm.
that I'm going to just naturally have. I have to come in to settings knowing I have a bias here
Yeah.
and
Well,
I need education.
and I feel like what you're saying too is like the cure for some of these things is curiosity. Like you're asking better questions so that you can actually get a better lay of the land, so that you can be more collaborative, more helpful, able to come to the table with a different perspective. And the leaders that I see be so successful are the ones that even when they get a very jarring question or a rude question, they get immediately curious. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, that is such an art that someone
Oh,
just lobbed this rude question across the table at you. You know what you did? You asked a very curious question back to them. And it's like, wow, that's powerful.
I mean, we could do a whole episode just on curiosity.
Yes.
Okay.
And we should.
I love curiosity. Curiosity is a saving grace
Yeah.
because it's an openness. It's not a resignation.
Mhm.
It's not a resistance. It's not a rebuttal. It's going to another place and expanding your thinking.
Yes.
And it helps me not to be closed-minded in settings, especially when tension is
Mhm.
in the room, when there's
Yes.
tension in the situation, just to back up a minute. You know, people tell you need to back up and count to 5. Well, that'll do absolutely nothing. Maybe just keep you from like biting someone's head off. But that's not all you need to do. If we want progress, yeah, count to 5 and move towards curiosity at the same time to think, okay, tell me. I can see that you're upset. You know, if it is a high stakes situation, I can see that you're upset. I'm acknowledging your feelings. I'm not just pushing it down. I can see that you're upset. Now, uh, let's make some progress here.
Yeah.
What's it going to take?
Wow.
And that is a concession statement that just deflates.
It's an art.
It is an art, but it is something that you can just remember and use it as a method
Yes.
to work towards solutions.
Mhm. This is powerful. I love this. So let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes that women make when they're trying to get to understand maybe the other side to understand their perspective. Where do we mess up?
So, particularly as women, not everybody, but I mean, I've seen this in my own life, okay? And a lot of what I'm sharing with you girls is stuff that I learned. I'm trying to help you avoid my stupid mistakes, okay? The assumption that people just know.
Yeah.
And
That's a big
then
one.
when you come with that assumption, you can treat people like idiots. What? You don't understand this?
Yeah.
So that's not cool. Okay. Expecting others to notice what you notice, expecting others to be able to read the room and see what you saw. You know, I will go to an outing and, you know, go to a meeting and be around people and I'll come home and I said, did you notice so-and-so? My husband's like, what?
Yep.
You know, so
That's my husband's same response.
yeah, they don't notice those
No.
things. And they notice other things.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's on the area of expectation.
Yeah.
But there is this one thing that we do that is exhausting to men. And
I
that
cannot wait to hear what this
is
is. I'm so excited. Tell me.
over explaining.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Mhm.
Now, this is why they say we talk a lot and we're verbose or we're this or that. And so here's what happens because you and I, what we're comfortable with in the way that we process, in the way that we solve things is we like to talk it out.
Yes.
Okay, so we're in this setting and we're supposed to be leading and we are working through the process verbally,
Yes.
vocally,
Yep.
and their eyes are glazing over, or we think, I need to really explain this. And that is not helpful to over explain.
Mhm.
When you see their eyes glazing over, it's time to take a sip of your coffee. Okay. So here's the thing. There is a way to handle this properly. And instead of over explain, say enough to communicate something that ignites their curiosity.
That's
Because
good.
curiosity is where you have some engagement and some connection. Because that's where we talked about buy-in on a previous episode. Say something. This is why clickbait works, right?
Yes.
People say shock value statements. I'm not necessarily saying that, but say enough
Mhm.
to convey it and let them ask the questions, okay? And the other thing that we do is we can take direct responses very personally. Men tend to be very direct.
Yes.
And so they don't necessarily, and this is where men get frustrated with working with women in leadership roles because they feel like, do I have to like tie this up in a bow for you? I just
Mhm.
want to be able to say this.
Yeah.
So that you understand sometimes it's about them, sometimes it's about the situation, but don't take it personally. Just say, okay, this was a response he gave me, and don't let it live any
Mhm.
bigger than what it really is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. I love that because I think a lot of times we do feel like we have to over explain ourselves in order to be heard. And I think there's a power in putting thoughts out there, putting maybe even statements out there, and letting them land in the room, and then letting people get really curious about what we just said and actually draw more information out of us instead of us just giving them 80%. What is it, Hitch? He says, you go 90, I'll come 10. Like, don't give it
Yes,
all. Like,
yes.
just.
Hitch had some good advice.
I don't know about that, but. So if a woman is listening today and she wants to figure out, how to lead more effectively without losing herself in the process, because I think, a lot of times there's a lot of backbends that women do going into cultures, right? They're trying to bend to the culture of maybe the company they're in, and then they're trying to bend to the culture of the room they're in, and eventually you can feel like Gumby, and you can just feel like you've bent, and who am I even, and who am I as a leader? And so I think there's something really important here that we need to anchor ourselves back to in order to be successful as a leader.
And I think a lot of it has to do with my goal is not to make you think like me. My goal is to build the bridge so that both of the way that we process can come together in a way that's cohesive and productive. And so it doesn't require me to step back so far that I shrink back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also, you don't have to go into every room ready to fight.
That's a word.
I think sometimes we come with this understanding that I'm going to have to fight because I'm the lone female or this or that, or we need to come in ready to stand, but there has to be an openness about us. And, the whole thing about, for example, creating the curiosity. You say enough, but you come ready. Yes. You're come prepared. So you have everything. Yes. You could have sold it. You could have thrown it all out there on the table, but you just said enough to engage them. And then when they ask the question, you say, I'm glad you thought of that because da-da-da-da-da-da. So now you're going to earn respect because you didn't give them more than they wanted to hear, but then you show them you're prepared. Yes. And so you're going to earn some respect when you listen to others, that validation of what their participation is, and you have the answer. Yes. And so, this is true confidence. Confidence isn't something you hype up. It's not a posture. Right. It comes from you being convicted about your idea. Yeah. Where, I really believe in this. And you become convicted because you've done enough research to know it's a really good idea. And so it changes the way you show up in that room. It changes the way that you deliver. And, understand your strengths and know what your strengths are, but value the strengths of others as well. So it's really about very strategic communication and learning how to do that. So you're leading from a place of confidence, not needing for approval.
Yes, I love that.
You come in rested and centered.
Yeah, that's good. Well, as we think about Thrive and what we do at Thrive, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about thrivetoday.com and our platform and why ladies should get engaged and involved.
So I have this wonderful opportunity to meet incredible women who are leading in ministry, in the marketplace, CEOs, C-suite executives, and we all, even though we have different roles, I notice that there are several things that we have in common. And oftentimes, one of those things is a sense of loneliness. Yeah. A loneliness that is because I don't feel like I can fully be myself. A lot of women feel like they have to hold everything close to their chest. Yeah. And they can't be fully who they are, and that it creates this kind of dissonance because we are the girls that want to keep all the tabs open, right? All of this stuff is going on. Yeah. And so I wanted to help, craft an opportunity where women can come together and feel valued, find that my sister across the table is just like me, and to salt the conversations that we have. And so this is what I love about our coaching calls. Our coaching calls are a little different because it's not just a talking head. It's not just one individual spewing forth all of their wisdom. It is, this is one point. How does this land with you? We actually ask that question. and it pulls in other stories
Yes.
and we learn from one another. There's not too many environments that I know of that have that offer that sort of experience. And
That's right.
this is the way we grow together relationally.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the biggest plus. We have a lot of things that we do, a lot of offerings, but this is something that I think once you taste and see, you're going to realize how much you needed it, how much it helps you. And then you're going to bring another friend to the table as well because you find out how much value it's brought to your life.
Yeah, I love that. And women should not lead alone.
No.
It's very lonely out there. When people say it's lonely at the top, it's because we're not surrounding ourselves with other leaders who are also leading. So we want you to head over to thrivetoday.com and learn more. And ladies, we want you to lead this week with leadership, with community, and with strength. We will see you next time. Don't forget to thrive.